Welcome to the Resilient Mindset Podcast, an exciting new podcast by Resilience Queen, Justine Martin. Justine is the owner and founder of the Resilient Mindset, a division of the Justine Martin Corporation. Justine draws on her years of experience and knowledge consulting with clients to develop and sustain a positive mindset. Focused on igniting your passion, purpose and power, follow the Resilience Queen each week as she delves into the mind of her guests, exploring fascinating stories and inspiring journeys.
Welcome back, listeners. Today I've got with me Malina Bein, who is based in the UK. Mel is a business coach and consultant, currently in the tech and self-development industry with over 17 years of experience. Founder of the Creative Wealth Consulting, Malina works with entrepreneurs across the world, worldwide known corporate environments, Chelsea Football Club Foundation, and more. Malina's experience is in building performance and productivity, decreasing and identifying risks, data storytelling, and big on relationship engineering that drives loyalty, ROI, and long-term supports our growth using creative thinking and creativity as a driver to shift and elevate our work, relationships, and enhances life. She assists and is passionate about building successful wellbeing programs that drive resilience and support the growth of individuals as much as companies. She can be found speaking in various podcasts and radio shows around the world. Welcome. How are you today, Malina?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm fabulous.
Awesome. Let's get right into it. What does resilience mean to you?
When I think about resilience, it's reflecting back and thinking, what is life? Life is like a journey. So on that journey, it's kind of like, I'm the traveler, the crossing the different paths. And I'm thinking about resilience as my backpack full of the things and tools that I might need on my journey, right? The obstacles that might come my way. And just as I, travel through the world, I pick up more and my backpack becomes, fulfilled with more things that can be useful during these obstacles and tough times that might come my way.
That's a great definition, that one. Every podcast I do, everyone has the same definition but different. And I really like yours. So what's an adversity that you've faced and how have you overcome it?
In terms of adversity, I think there is many different things that happen in our life. But one of the biggest situations that had impact was probably struggling with mental, I don't want to say illness, but developing very severe anxiety, panic attacks that led to heart condition. And even though in between, I've had to rebuild my life 3 times from 0 to having everything to then nothing to then. So it's a journey. But I think if I look back at the anxiety and panic attacks, it really affected my life from all the angles because suddenly you are incapable of being yourself, interacting with people at the same level, being, social, let alone working. And the form of anxiety and panic attacks I've had was causing me to faint in public places. So I was avoiding any form of transportation, even queuing in the shops. And I think apart from that, not having the support group and not being understood by people around me, especially the closest ones, was probably one of the toughest things you have to come across because there's no one else that can listen to you. And back then when, that happened back in 2012, there wasn't really any support in terms of, the healthcare understanding. So there was mixed messages of what is going on and how I can get help. And I didn't really understand it was this. I thought maybe something more severe in terms of health. But ultimately, it did lead to a heart condition that I still carry. It's not really severe, but I do have to take pills every single day to calm my heart down. Otherwise, the speed's like, I'm on a marathon.
So you would have AF? Is that, am I correct?
It's called ventricular ectopics. So It's around 1,000 to 2,000 beats of heart more every day than average. Yeah.
So I had something similar. 2011 for me, I had really bad anxiety after being diagnosed with MS, and I would drive to an art studio. I wanted to learn how to paint. I couldn't get out of the car. and I'd sit there just crying. I just couldn't walk in the door, and then I'd drive home again and be angry at myself. And, I was such a social person, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't get out of the car, and my heart would race and I'd be sweaty and in tears, and it just wasn't me. And my fiance at the time, he didn't understand what was happening, and just thought I was putting it all on, and it was just getting worse. And then one day I sat there outside the art studio, and my girlfriend ran the art studio, so it wasn't as if I was walking in there and didn't know anyone. I knew her, and then I just got really, really, really angry and went, what are you doing? And walked inside and took back control. And then that made a difference. I still get a bit of anxiety at times. It hasn't gone away. But yeah, it can definitely relate to what you're saying there. So what coping mechanisms did you use? Because obviously, you've learnt to deal with the anxiety.
Yeah, so I think I think the tactic is to really know yourself and start listen and understand the way you behave and what's actually going on internally. So slowly I had to somehow live, go to work, do things. So I observed myself, if I read or looked down in a tube, that would calm me down. Or I would skip busy bus or train and just wait for the next one when it's a bit fresh. There's not that many people around. But I think the biggest thing came when I changed my diet. I completely removed caffeine from anything that would have raised my heart.
Stimulated, yeah.
Yes. And just committed to exercise, running, kickboxing, refocusing myself, and, just removing any triggers and slowly getting back on my feet, slowly challenging myself every time. And so far, like you said, it does come back sometimes, but I am under control, and it's not getting out of hand to a point where I'm fainting everywhere.
Yeah. No, that's never a good thing. So that's fantastic that, one of your coping mechanisms has been diet change and recognizing, removing the stimulants from your diet. And so does that mean that you don't have sugar?
Well, I'm a snacking queen, so cakes, I have to be under control. I think now that I know I can and I have more control over things, I do allow myself. So after, I think, 8 years, I do have one coffee a day, which I really shouldn't, but I do have one a day, and I do allow myself one cake a week. So yeah.
But you're aware of, what your triggers are, and I'm sure, like me, I kind of stretch the boundaries every so often with food that I know that I can't have, and when I've had too much of it, my body sure lets me know, and then you just wind it back again. So unfortunately or fortunately, I'm actually allergic to caffeine, so it's 30 years since I've had a coffee, and I really don't know what life would be like drinking coffee. I mean, I buzz around enough now, but these people that say they can't live without their coffee, yeah, right. That's a false.
No, you can. No, you can. I've done that for a few years, and you can. It's just, I think, the habit on its own, like having that morning coffee. But you can switch it with something else, and it works the same.
Yeah, herbal tea works the same. Doesn't sound as good, but it works the same. I actually carry them in my handbag. Today's society is not too bad. There's lots of cafes that actually have herbal tea in that, but you go back even like 5 years ago and definitely 10 years ago, you couldn't get a herbal tea anywhere. So, or I'd go to a function and they'd have tea, coffee and orange juice, and I'm allergic to all three. And so I soon learnt to drink water and lots of water. I think water's the key to everything. If you're not drinking enough water throughout the day, your anxiety levels will automatically go up, whether you're one that has chronic anxiety or not. And, the headaches, we reach for Panadol far too quickly instead of just having a big glass of water and keeping hydrated throughout the day. That's what gives you energy, is the hydration, and it does help control some anxiety as well.
Yeah.
you've got that fluid going through to you. So some great coping mechanisms you've got there, Malina. Anything else you want to share in regards to that?
I think if we're thinking about the topic of anxiety and resilience itself, what leads to the situation that you don't want to be in is the little symptoms and the little signs that your body might be telling you that you're ignoring, and they compounding.
Yes.
And sometimes it's something that it wouldn't fall under, I'm stressed or I'm developing anxiety, but it are very small symptoms. And what I can say to everybody out there is not to neglect these things. And when you do feel overwhelmed, when you do suddenly feel a bit out of breath or dizzy, and this could be the first signs of you developing something, form of anxiety or panic attacks that can really end up in something more serious, heart condition like mine, or anything even further, because all the sicknesses that we know are really coming from stress, being under life's pressure and all sorts of different things. So don't neglect, be mindful of what's happening to your body, and just watch yourself, ask for help, ask questions, and don't leave it for too long.
Yeah, and because anxiety is a hidden illness, and the outside world can't see what's happening to your body and that, you're often, when you tell people, they don't get it. They think that you're imagining it, and they can't see what's happening. I mean, mental illness in itself, people don't tend to believe other people. It's a bit better nowadays than what it used to be, but still, no one knows their body like the person that's living in it. And if there is something that, like you said, if there's something that doesn't feel right, then seek external help. And if you're not happy with the person that you've sought external help with, go and find someone else. I once had a doctor tell me I was going purple, and went to my GP, and she told me it was nothing to worry about. Come back in 3 to 4 months if it was still happening. Now, if I'd listened to her, I would not be here today. I went and sought out a second opinion, and it turned out that I actually had 3 cancers at the same time. So she'd missed that. When we seek medical professionals, we often forget that they are human. And here in Australia, GPs stand for general practitioners, and they just study general medicine. And sometimes you're outside of their scope of realm. And it's really important to listen to yourself and to listen to your body. And if you're not liking the answers that you're getting, then it's your right to go and find another medical professional who will listen to you. And sometimes that might mean going through 2 or 3 of them to find one that you connect with, and a good one. So some, words of advice. Have you read the book We Make the Beast Beautiful by Sarah Wilson, Malina?
No, I haven't.
It's a fantastic book all about anxiety. A really, really good book. So she has chronic anxiety, and she talks through her coping mechanisms and what it's actually like to live with anxiety all the time, and how she peaks in her career and then shuts it all down several times. So well worth reading if you do know someone who's got anxiety, or if you suffer with anxiety yourself. So I'll find a link and pop that into the bio as well for you listeners, for you to read. So, Malina, who are your role models with resilience, and how do they inspire you?
I think for me, it's a combination of many different people. So throughout the journey of life, we either read, listen, are being assisted by different people in our life that can give us, a wisdom here and there, a book that we've read, a video that we've watched. And I think there isn't a one person, definitely my family. My mum, she's one of these people. She's just been always very persistent, hardworking, and, no matter what was thrown at her, she would have picked herself up and just go forward. But I think the collection of stories from across the world, even the people that we know, that we put on a pedestal because they now are so successful, when they reveal the stories that they have, is they've also been rejected at some point, or they had no money, or they struggled. J.K. Rowling's on its own, her story being all of this. I think once you absorb so many different stories, you realize, there's so much more I can do. And these people are there because they were persistent, because they were consistent, because they were resilient. And they never stopped. They saw something more for themselves, and they believed in it.
Yeah, I strongly believe, having a sense of purpose, knowing what your goals are, makes you resilient. You find ways to overcome the adversity that you're facing in front of you, and building those coping mechanisms. And each time you face an adversity, you build a little bit more stronger resilience. And so then when you're facing the next one, it becomes just that little bit easier. So some great advice there with, all the people around you, and, gaining resilience from what you read and what you actually see. So, yeah, definitely.
Would you like to read more about resilience from Justine Martin? Grab one of her co-authored books, Release the Shackles, Courage and Confidence, or Roar. All available online at justinemartin.com.au/shop.
So do you watch do you listen to other podcasts? Do you watch TEDx talks?
Yes. So I listen, I read, I watch. I very much enjoy listening to interviews from School of Greatness by Lewis Howes. I think potentially because he's very much like my younger brother, athlete. They very much look alike. I've kind of gained a sentiment for him. But he brings on a lot of smart people into his show as well, where you can learn a lot. And there is so much out there from, political podcasts. Marie Forleo, she does great podcasts as well herself with the Marie TV and interviews. So there is a lot that you can learn. But one of the recent books, if I can share as well, for those that are struggling a little bit maybe to change the way you think, and it helped many people around me, would be Chimp Paradox. I don't know if you've had a chance to read that book.
No, I haven't, but I will.
Yeah, it's a really great insight into our human brain and how we think, how we react to things. And I think when you're building your resilience, as much as it's important to, have that purpose, relationships and so forth, the way we think and react to things, and understand why we do that, and the things we tell ourselves play a big role as well. And that book is definitely a game changer in understanding that.
A lot of it's generational. So what our parents have done and our grandparents have done, and it's handed down, the culture that you're in and what's socially acceptable and what isn't. Doesn't mean that you can't change that. Doesn't mean that you don't have the choice to change your thinking pattern just because, that's the way that your family have always done it or your family have always thought. Doesn't mean that that's the way that you have to do it. It's just recognizing that you want to change and that you want to do things in a different way as well. I mean, we're all born exactly the same. It's just the way that we're brought up and we're conditioned that shapes who we are and our thought patterns and that as well. So what are some of your passions in life?
I'm very passionate about the things that add something meaningful to my life. So working with people just as you do, right? Inspiring with your story and sharing the things you've learned. I think this is one of the passions that I cannot stop as well. I love talking. I love doing the workshops. And even though I talk about data and data storytelling oftentimes, it's inspiring people because we're creating something from nothing. And they suddenly have those aha moments and realizations. And, this another box or door is opening for them. And I think this is really rewarding to see people change and transform for the things that you do. And I think creativity comes really handy in many shapes and forms, right? So it's not just to paint, and painting is fabulous. And, that form of, either creative writing, singing, doing videos, content. creative brainstorming during sessions with, your corporate team. Anything like that can really touch a person. But one of the passions that I've implemented was the wellbeing programs within the corporate environment that drive, different topics, but also on resilience and stories to share. So we see how people are opening up when they see the you open up. And they are thankful that they are not the only one feeling like this, especially, remote working right now. Everyone's really isolated and can be daunting if you don't have anyone else around you. You might be a single person, not much of friends or family, and you're just concentrating on work. That can be daunting. So definitely that has led to kind of, even when I don't feel great, I come in, full force energy because I know someone there might need that. And I would want someone to be there for me if I really needed to. So these are probably,
and asking for help. You don't have to do things by yourself. No, you don't. There are people like you and like me. I mean, I'm a resilience consultant, and I help people face the adversity. And adversity comes in so many different ways. It's not just the big things. There's little things that people face, and sometimes that little thing can be a mountain to that person, and they don't know which direction to go, and they don't know what to do. And by, just putting your hand up and saying, I need help, is 99% of the way there. Just that step forward.
It's a misconception, right? That if you say that I need help, it's a sign of weakness, but it's actually the other way around. It takes courage to admit that I need help, or I have made a mistake, or I'm not doing what I should be doing well, etc. It's a tough place to be, but definitely makes a difference when you see that others feel the same and they are going to help you and they are not judging you. So it's all in our head.
Some of the most successful people in the world all have business mentors. They all seek external help to get where they are. They haven't done it by themselves. And I was talking about this in another podcast, get yourself a mentor. And when you outgrow that mentor, move on to the next one. And then when you outgrow that mentor, move on to the next one, and continually, bettering yourself and gaining knowledge from other people, and reading books and listening to podcasts and, watching TEDx talks, and wherever you can find positivity and information that will help your world, soak it up like a sponge. We should be learning until the day that we die. But anyone that thinks that they know it all and that they don't need to improve themselves, you're kidding yourself.
That's why you're unhappy.
Yeah, that's right.
Because growth and happiness comes from, us learning, expanding, and, but if you don't, then that's sometimes when, people are depressed.
And that builds resilience by growing and learning and new information. I wanted to learn how to paint. When I was growing up and through my 20s and my 30s, I always wanted to learn how to paint. I thought, I'll get to that one day when I retire, at the age of 70, 80 or 90, when I retire. Well, I was forced into retirement at the age of 40 by having being diagnosed with the MS, and I had to stop work, and my neuro said, find a hobby. And I went, I'm finally going to learn how to paint. And then the anxiety happened, and I eventually got through that art door. But my whole world changed by just picking up a paintbrush and finding that hobby and learning how to paint. And so having a hobby is really important. Would you agree?
Definitely. I think assigning your purpose to a career is not necessarily the go-to. Your hobby could be your purpose as well. So don't beat yourself up if your career is not, that purpose. But outside of work, it could be painting, right? It could be bike riding. It could be being a great mom that you find to be something that fulfills you and makes your life purposeful. So definitely hobbies and things to do, whatever it's walking, hiking, climbing, all sorts of things. Plus, it's good to tap into different things to see if there's something that you you didn't consider to be good at or you like, and just test it. I mean, be curious. I think that's what a lot of people are missing. Ask questions, be curious, try things out. Life is short.
And I think, being locked down, I mean, the whole world locked down and we're all stuck in our homes for periods of time, and people, realised then that they didn't have hobbies to do except for watching TV. Doing a hobby, if it's a creative hobby, doesn't have to be of exhibition quality. Just draw, just paint, just, do cross-stitch, build models, whatever it is, find something that can take you to another place mentally. And, as we've discussed, creativity actually does that. For me, it's a form of meditation. I'm not one that can sit in the corner and go, but I can sit there and draw for an hour or two and lose myself in doing that, and I'll shut everything out. My brain actually then slows down enough to do that. So, find what your niche is and what you like, and you might have to do a couple of different hobbies in order to find something that is calming and settling and that you grow by as well. And you might not be good at the start, but, after doing your hobby for a while, you'll be producing something. My daughter-in-law loves jigsaws, and she's constantly doing jigsaws. Yet for me, they bore me to tears. I can't do them. I get frustrated and I'm like, no, not doing them. So,
but it gets you into the flow, and I think that
it does.
What it is oftentimes. It switches you off, and it's a form of meditation. So as long as it does that for you, it doesn't matter. For you, it will be boring. For somebody else, they'll be just absolutely enjoying themselves.
Yeah, that's right. You've got to pick what you like doing. So now I believe that you've got an offer for our listeners today, Malina.
Yeah, so if anyone is interested to get in touch, you can reach out. Obviously, Justine will post any links, but I offer a free consultation with quotation for Resilience Podcast. So reach out, and it will be lovely to hear from anybody that's interested to.
And we'll put the links in the bio for you. How can people contact you?
Social media, email, LinkedIn. I am not very much social media present that much. More people reaching out to me from word of mouth and etc. But still, you can find me there. So Facebook at Malina Bein. You can find me at Creative Wealth Consulting on Instagram as well, or email. Reach out.
And we'll put all your details in the bio as well. I've got a couple of quick, quirky questions for you now, Malina, that aren't on the sheet, so you don't know about these ones. Okay, so pineapple on pizza. Yes or no? No?
No pineapple.
You're the second one that said
no. Upset any Italians out there.
Okay, so we've already brushed on this one a little bit, but coffee, tea, hot chocolate, or wine?
I'm a lover of herbal tea all day long, a few times a day. I do have one coffee, but if I had to pick, it would be herbal tea.
What's your favourite herbal tea? As a herbal tea connoisseur, I love.
I like anything that's earthy. I like anything that's very earthy. So anything like very spices, but probably the drink I go for mostly will be fresh ginger, turmeric, and crushed pepper with lemon.
I like licorice and peppermint together. That's my favourite.
Oh, okay.
And licorice tea is really, really good if you are craving sugar as well. So there's something to think about. So if you're craving sugar, have a licorice tea. Yeah. But it's not good if you've got high blood pressure, because it'll actually elevate your blood pressure. What's your favourite music?
Indie rock and ethnic house.
Cool. What's your favourite food?
Spicy. So I would say Thai, Mexican. Thai and Mexican probably is one of my favorite.
Awesome. And the last question, which is always really quirky, does the toilet roll go forwards or backwards?
Oh, it has to go forward.
Yay! I can forgive you about the pizza one,
Did
but
I
the
win?
toilet one I couldn't. Yeah, it's got to go forward.
So did I win anything? Go forward.
Well, so far you're on team forward. I think one person has said team backwards. So, yeah, I'm one of these people that, as my listeners know, that goes in and I turn it around. If it's not forward, I'm like, no, I can't do that. It's going to go forward. All right. Well, Malina, thank you for being a guest today on the Resilience Mindset podcast. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on board.
Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your story as well. It's been a pleasure to be able to be here today.
Awesome. So remember, listeners, stay resilient until next time.
We hope you enjoyed the Resilience Mindset podcast. Remember to subscribe to the podcast to get your weekly fix listening to Resilience Queen Justine Martin. Follow Justine on social media at Resilience Mindset or log on to justinemartin.com.au. And until next time, remember, life doesn't get easier or more forgiving. We get stronger and more resilient.